Okay, we'll get rolling on a public meeting, so we'll call this meeting to order at 1900 hours. We'll start by 2.1, reading of a public hearing statement. So this public hearing dated December 10th, 2019, held in the Village of Valemount Council Chambers at 735 Cranberry Lake Road, Valemount, BC, V0E2Z0, is being convened pursuant to the terms of Community Charter prior to consideration of Village of Valemount Business Bylaw and Regulation Bylaw number 805-2019. At a public hearing, any person present who believes they are affected by a matter being considered shall be given an opportunity to be heard on the matter contained in the proposal. Members of the public speaking on the proposal should, at the appropriate time, commence your address to this council by clearly stating your name and area of residence. We do not require your address, upon which you may give us the benefit of your views concerning the proposal. Anyone who deems their interests are affected shall be given the opportunity to be heard at this meeting. No one should or will be discouraged or prevented from making their views known. All who speak at this public hearing shall restrict their remarks to matters contained in the proposal, and it is my responsibility as chairperson of this meeting to ensure that all remarks are so restricted. At the conclusion of a public hearing, council may, without further notice, give whatever effect council believes proper to the representation made at the hearing. Onward to 2.2, presentation by staff.
Thank you. As mentioned, this evening's public hearing is in regards to Village of Valemount Business License and Regulation Bylaw number 805-2019. The proposed bylaw is to authorize the issuance of business licenses and to regulate business activity within the boundaries of the Village of Valemount. If adopted, it will replace current business license bylaw number 730 adopted in 2014. In general terms, bylaw 805 will amend or remove sections of the current bylaw that have become outdated due to changes in legislation, and will provide greater clarification with respect to business license exemptions and circumstances where an individual or company may require more than one business license. The proposed bylaw received first and second reading at the November 26th regular meeting of council, after which public notice of tonight's public hearing was provided as per section 59 of the Community Charter. If no major concerns arise during this public hearing, staff is recommending that Village of Valemount Business License and Regulation Bylaw number 805-2019 be given third reading.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd. Are there any written submissions?
No.
Are there any public submissions or presentations to form the part of these minutes for the public hearing? For a second time, is there any public submissions and or presentations to form part of the minutes? And for a third and final time, are there any public submissions and or presentations to form part of the minutes? Hearing now none, I adjourn this public hearing. Now called to order at 1903, the December 10 regular meeting of council. Item 2.1, council please, one amendment to include an additional in-camera item. Move to adopt. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson. Any further additions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carries. Item 3.1, public comments on items considered by council as part of the approved agenda. Just a little preamble here before we get started with that. Comments and questions will only be regarding on an item on this agenda, and please from the podium. They must be put forth on topics that are not normally dealt with by village staff. Questions shall be addressed through the chair. Debates with or by individual members of council or staff are not allowed during this time. No commitments shall be made by council in replying to a question. Matters which may require action of council shall be tabled to a future meeting of this council. As we just had a public hearing, bylaws and temporary use permits, etc., that have been considered at a public hearing but have not yet received final approval should not be raised during this time. Individuals must state their name and area of residence for identification purposes. and comments and questions shall be limited to 2 minutes. Are there any public comments this evening?
Hi, my name is Stephanie Hahn. I live on 8th Place in Valemount.
Welcome.
I would like to speak on item 10.2 on the agenda. Utilities have been increased every single year since I've lived here, from $369 in 2007 to $805 in 2018. That's a 218% increase in 11 years. How much money is the village hoping to raise with the increase in utilities over the next few years? What's the goal amount and what is it for? Why has the village not disclosed how much money has been raised already in this 9-year plan? And how has this money been invested? How much interest have you made off of our money? Has the village taken into consideration the 2.88 million grant from last year? The grant alone should change your calculations. None of these questions have been addressed, and I wonder if council has educated themselves before making decisions that affect everyone in town, not just property owners, but also renters. Look around. This town is based on hospitality, and a majority of working residents make minimum wage or slightly above. Seniors on a fixed income, low-income families. We will all have to make a choice now of where to reduce expenses in order to be able to pay utilities. How much more can we cut back? Do I reduce my monthly contributions to my RSP or my children's RESP? Do I cancel my life insurance? Do I tell my children they can't participate in after-school activities? How is this fair when you have not provided detailed timelines or specific repairs or replacements needed? Why do you need to hold our money for years to come? The way I see it, you're stealing money from families, children, and seniors, and you're making interest off of it. And to me, that's just unacceptable. Thank you.
Those are some very good questions that I believe staff can have a crack at. Can we have a copy of that?
It's just handwritten.
If you're okay with that, or did you get most of that?
If I'm correct, it's the same letter that you have in the newspaper, correct? More or less?
Not quite, but yeah. I think I didn't ask some of these questions now.
Oh, then I would be happy.
I can just email them.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments this evening?
Anya Curley, 8th Avenue. I agree with most of the letter, and I also think it'd be interesting to hear about the interest of the 2.8 million and what's happening with that, and what does that amount to in the end, and where is it spent and how, and to see some numbers to justify the increase. So.
Great, thank you. Further public comments this evening?
Eugene Jamin, Valemount, BC.
To the podium, please, Mr. Jamin. Thank you, sir.
I had a chance to review the proposal from Varda, and I am extremely impressed with the work that's already been done. We are very fortunate to have that kind of planning ahead of asking for expenses, and I would put my weight behind that particular proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comments this evening? Hearing none, motion please to receive. Councillor Pearson, Councillor G. All in favor of receipt? Carries. Item 4.1, adoption of the minutes of the previous November 26th regular meeting of council. Councillor Pearson, Councillor MacLean, any errors or omissions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carries. 4.2, adoption of the minutes of the special meeting held November 19, 2019. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, any errors or omissions arising? Hearing none, all in favor? Carries. 5.1, we have a delegation from the Valemount Area Recreation Development Association pertaining to their 2020 mountain bike trail plan. Mr. Polyuk. Do we need that TV on?
I think we have the power.
You have the power.
We have the power. Carleena granted me the power. Thank you, Council, Chair. We'll wait for the TV to fire up here. So during the summer of 2019, Varda worked with a company called Trail Holistics, which is a professional planner, to work on up to a 30-kilometer long primarily cross-country trail mountain bike network on the north side of Swift Creek, just below Swift Mountain. A lot of the area is previously logged, although there still is active harvest from the Valemount Community Forest within the area in there. We laid out a total of 26 kilometers of trail of varying abilities, primarily based off of a large green loop, which is the center of the map you see in front of you there, with several other skill levels and varieties of trails taking off and branching off of that main green loop. Basically, it's an extension of our current area known as the Valemount Bike Park, which is primarily an adrenaline fest, a downhill filled park, which has brought us a lot of acclaim. But one thing we are missing for locals and visitors alike is more of a long distance, health-oriented kind of pedal network. It's what we hear from our guests, it's what we hear from our locals, and it's something to round off our trail system. We spent quite a bit of funds on this. We worked with a very high-level professional. He worked alongside Varda, our staff, and our mountain bike committee to create a 53-page document, which you all have your hands on now, so I spared bringing it and handing out and killing a bunch more trees. I hope to do that with trails instead of just paper. So we created this document. It's an amazing plan. It's extremely detailed. Goes down to soil types, erosion considerations. It's a very, very detailed network. It's not just for tourism. Varda is a recreational development group, but we were spun for local recreation development, which is in our mission statement. We're here to build opportunities for families that currently live here, as well as out-of-towners, and also people who are thinking of coming here. We've seen and heard a lot of people who are moving to the area because of the recreational opportunities that we have for them and their families. It's extremely hard to miss what the trail systems have done so far for the community. Just this summer, from early May to late August, we had over 31,000 passes down 4 of our trails with 4 counters on them. So we have a network of 21 trails. We put counters on 4 of our most popular, 31,000 from May 1st to August 31st. Over the next few months, we'll be submitting this master plan, starting with Front Counter BC. They'll do most of the stakeholder consultation. We've preemptively sent it to Regional District of Fraser Fort George, Simp First Nation, Valemount Community Forest, Recreates and Sites and Trails BC. Simp First Nation has been a very good partner of ours in the mountain bike development and the trail systems. They've supported most of our projects in the past, and we hope to have a face-to-face very soon, and we hope that relationship will continue further. The Varda board and our members of the mountain bike committee and our members at large, we're very proud of this document. It's available, it's out there for anyone who'd like to see it. Thank you, Mr. Jamin, for your support of the document. We're pretty excited about it as well. Our presentation here tonight is more of a information sharing of what we hope is to come. And then also on the agenda later, what we're asking for, it's not for any local benefit. It's to help our applications to Front Counter BC, Regional District Fraser Fort George, just to show support that we have from the Village of Valemount for a development like this. I can take any questions if you like.
Questions of the delegation? Awesome. Yeah, really impressive. Pleased to hear that you've started consultation with Simp First Nation. That they're a good partner in the mountain biking world, and that the relationship is ongoing with VCF, for sure. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Motion to receive the delegation, please. Councillor G, Councillor MacLean. Any comments on the delegation itself? Councillor Pearson.
Just a great document, and nice to see some flat trails that an old guy might be able to ride on.
It is. If I have a few more minutes, it is based off of a large green network. We know a lot of the trails we have now they're flow trails. It's a special design it's quite a swath. This new network, the main swath would be the green loop. It's an 8-kilometer long green loop, very accessible from town. It will be basically an extreme wheelchair path. It will be a beautiful loop that everybody can use to that grade. When we hired the professional, it was extremely important. We picked it to the last 0.1% slope angle. So the trail should be laid out very, very well. So that one is a wide corridor meant for absolutely all levels and abilities, walking, hiking. It might even be able to be skied on, which is pretty cool. So a really close in-town cross-country ski loop in the wintertime. Fat biking, if anything. And then the rest of the network is more of a narrow corridor, more of a historic type trail that you're used to. So narrow corridors, much less impact, much more of a hand-built feel. So basically we have a yin and a yang within our trail system is kind of the idea behind it. Yeah. Yeah.
Was there any design put towards universal access?
As opposed to
Paraplegics of that nature, the wider bikes?
So we've attended sessions down in Nakusp on kind of all access mountain biking. The green loop could be built like that. We also have I'm forgetting the term. Do you remember the term for the bike? It's missing me right now. But so there's a group out of Nakusp who will be coming up here in the spring, we hope, and they specialize in adaptive mountain biking. They specialize in the adaptive trail design. We actually think trails such as Bacon and maybe even Stumptown and Moby Dick might currently be suited for adaptive mountain biking, which would be pretty rad. So we're Monday grind, maybe to Bacon.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe to Bacon. The corners are a bit tight. Yeah. But adaptive design is important. It's cool. It's there's the bikes are there's only so many of those bikes out there right now, but it's nice to have access for everybody. Yeah.
Excellent. Further comment, questions of the delegation? Thank you very much.
Thank you
Mr.
for your
Pollock.
time.
All in favor of receipt? Carries. To that end, 7.1, the Valemount Area Recreation Development Association is looking for a letter of support of the Valemount Bike Park Trail Expansion Project, and that we provide that letter of support. What is Councilor's wish? Councillor Blanchette, Councillor G, discussion? In their ask, it pertains to some funding support as well. Not funding support, but support toward funding. Administration will fashion letters so that we're not committing to CIP or NDIT or any of those funders. Is that fair for council? I have noticed, and I'm sure all of you have seen an uplift along Main Street and downtown, and it's fairly tremendous. And if we can help in any way to get that expanded, right on. Any other discussion points? All in favor? Carries. 7.2, first responders are requesting my attendance at their Christmas party, December 14th. What's council's wish? Councillor G, Councillor Pearson, discussion? Truly honored to spend an evening with our first responders.
I think it's very important that we recognize the service that those people do.
Absolutely.
We just had firemen that were given 25 and 20-year service awards. I
Look.
don't know if they'll bring that up at the first responders, but I'm sure we have RCMP that have similar and paramedics.
Yeah, looking forward to it. All in favor? Carries. Anybody want to pull anything out of the reading file? Councillor G.
I just want to acknowledge the receipt of the thank you letter from Minister Judy Darcy, Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, and I just want to thank my colleagues for bringing this issue forward at UBCM because I wasn't there to do it myself. It was nice to see a response.
I think the discussion there with Minister Darcy was well received. Yeah. Anything further? Administrative reports, 9.1, accounts payable. Motion pleased to receive. Councillor Pearson, Councillor G. Questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Carries. 9.2, building inspection report, November 2019. Motion pleased to receive. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor G. Any discussion around the building inspector's report? Bit slow, but it is November. All in favor of receipt? Carries. 9.3, Trans Mountain right-of-way expansion, land disposition report. Motion pleased to receive. Councillor G, Councillor Pearson. Discussion. Councillor Pearson.
Oh, I just
saw your
want
hand twitch.
to. I just want to say, saw a hand move over there. No, I just want to say good work on the part of our CAO, Mr. Robinson, and bargaining in our favor.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Further comments? All in favor of receipt? Carries. 9.4, Village of Valemount Wood Stove Exchange Program. Motion please to receive the report. Councillor G, Councillor Pearson. Discussion. Councillor Pearson.
Nice to see the program, but it's rather discouraging that of the $10,000, $2,500 goes to actual stoves and exchange, and $7,500 of that is advertising and promotion. A little discouraging.
Okay. Councillor Blanchette.
Is it 10,000 from the Minister of Environment and then 5 from the village and then 5 from Community Forest, so that gives us 20?
That was just released today from the
Okay.
Minister of Environment.
So I'm wondering if we can take this back, because $34.50 for advertising, we're spending more on advertising than we are for the actual exchange. Can we fiddle with the numbers a bit? So, I mean, even if we could get the 2 oldest stoves completely replaced, you know, like, I don't know, it just seems like there's a lot of money here, and for $250, we're not gonna be able to, nobody's gonna be able to replace their actual stove. So we've got a really good program here, we've got an extra $10,000. We need to actually really focus this cash on getting some stoves replaced.
I'll speak to the incentive, and then I'll maybe let you come in on any sort of restrictions on funding. So if you notice, there's a higher incentive to replace it with gas, electric, or pellet. The most efficient, coolest, non-electric pellet stove, gravity fed, that's out there is $2,100. So you can actually just take out your old wood stove and trying to incentivize non-firewood burning appliances. So there's the incentive is there, not just to go for another wood stove, but perhaps something that's even way less polluting.
Okay, but a pellet stove, they're gonna have to buy pellets, and they're $3.50 a ton, not delivered. So we have to remember that's a cost, you know? If it's a senior, there's no way they're gonna get those into their house alone, so they need to hire somebody to get those pellets in. I'm just wondering if, I appreciate all the work that's gone into this, but I would just wonder if we could fine tune it a bit so that we can offer something to somebody that's actually going to really, really make a difference and have that whole horrible old thing taken out. You know, we've tried this before, and we didn't have any takers the last time that we did this program. So because we've got this extra money on the floor, I want to make sure that we can, like I said, even if we just get 1 or 2 stoves switched out for something else.
Are there any restrictions on funding for $3,450 going to advertising and promotion?
Yes. There's a lot of restrictions, unfortunately.
So I don't understand why it's $3,400 to advertise a program. Like, I don't understand that.
I'd have to look into the exact breakdown of the $3,400 for the advertising, but I can comment that, you know, $1,300 of it is listed here, goes towards inspection fees and permits, so that also helps reduce the cost of switching over into a new appliance. They were very adamant that we have a Burn It Smart workshop, and part of that was providing seasoned wood as well for people. So that is also coming out of it. We have looked into aspects of purchasing pellets for people who get a new pellet stove, but I would have to take a look at the application again and find out whether or not we were allowed to do that. That might have been something that was under the advertising of the program, but I'd have to verify that and come back.
But in here, it's $27.50 to support educational initiatives. This will be including hosting the Burn It and the Seasoned Wood programs. Then there's a separate line that says $34.50 for advertising. Like, that's two different line items and two different prices.
Yes.
It just boggles my mind, that's all. I don't understand how we're gonna get people to want to exchange and go to something completely different.
We're offering much higher rebates than we've ever offered in regards to wood stove replacement and pellet electric or gas replacement. Previously, we were looking at $750. We've contacted other municipalities, and they're actually quite impressed with the amount of money that we're putting towards exchanging out the appliances, and it does seem to be that we have a much more ambitious program than others. Our goal this year was to replace 5 with brand new pellet stoves or gas replacement, or 10 of the wood stoves. And we had spoken to council about this previously, and it did appear that council was in favor of this.
And don't get me wrong, I'm just wondering if we're going to get the results we want with this breakdown of the funds, that's all. Okay.
Councillor Pearson.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's why I brought it up. I mean, we all agree with the need for the program, but yeah, the numbers just really jump out when you look at it. And just to clarify, under that 2750, that's a seasoned wood education program, not supplying any seasoned wood. That's just education that this is what you need to burn.
No, that's not exactly it. It actually does include a little bit of wood that we can provide to people, especially in the context if somebody is burning, say, unseasoned wood or unfortunate garbage of the sort. We would be able to provide them with a small amount of wood to demonstrate what the seasoned wood would be. So that is actually part of the program. Okay.
It doesn't reflect it. So.
Sorry, it's not spelled as clear as it should be.
Further questions, comments on the receipt of the report? You'll look into the $34.50 and see what we can do to make that number go down, hopefully. All in favor of receipt? Carries. 10.1 under bylaws and policies, we have the Village of Valemount Business Bylaw, Regulation Bylaw 805-2019, third reading as presented. What is council's wish? Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette on third reading. Questions, comments?
Just an item for clarification. I spoke to staff about this. Under exemption 6.1, item G, it's kind of misleading in that it says a license is not required for the selling of consignment goods at the VIC, provided the seller signed an agreement and paid the corresponding consignment fee. When I first saw that, it sort of indicated that you didn't need the business license per se to sell upstairs. Where, I guess, if you're a home-based business and selling here, your business license covers that. Whereas if you are only selling here, the business license is considered the consignment fee, I believe to be correct. So that's just a little unclear for anybody that's looking to sell upstairs.
Thank you. Further questions, comments on the, or discussion, sorry, on the 10.1, third reading? All in favor? Carries. 10.2, Village of Valemount Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 813.
Your worship, can I ask that we put this to a committee of the whole?
Absolutely. Motion to take it to community hall. Seconder, Councillor G. All in favor of entering into the committee of the whole? Carries.
So I just wanted to have a discussion about our
1929.
utility rates. I've heard a lot of people come and talk to me about this. It's a concern for all of us. So sometimes what was really good 4 years ago and was working may not work now. Maybe we need to keep things the way they are and then bring it to the table in January with staff and really hammer out some stuff. I just wanted to have a discussion before we move this forward. Like I said, people have been coming through. Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to have a raise of their utility rates, so can we have a discussion about it? Has anybody else said people come to them? I know that, you know, we talked about the discount. The discount works really well if you have money sitting in your bank and you're okay to pay the thing. The discount, you know, should be reflective of the people that are having a hard time trying to pay this. They're not getting any kind of a break. So I think that I would like to have a discussion and see what we want to, if we want to move forward with it as is or discuss it anymore.
Councillor Pearson?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to get the information out there a little better. I did talk to staff about putting the information, the original study and the numbers and the breakdown, because without seeing the background that we have in the presentations we've had on this, yeah, it's a hard lump to swallow. But we're also watching the news, and every other community is pretty much right along the same border. We're all playing catch up for the years of no increases, and it's unfortunate that bites us now. But you know, I'd like to think that an educational program and put the information that makes it easier for people to understand the issue as well.
Councillor G?
I would also like to speak to the way the discount is applied. I think that we could make that work better, similar to what we do with our property taxes, in that we offer a seniors discount for people on their property taxes, not a discount on who can pay the money fastest. So it actually benefits the people who really need that discount, whether it's based on age or income level, either or. I don't know how that would be structured, but I think that would be a lot more fair to our residents that struggle harder to pay their utilities.
Councillor
Is
Blanchette?
it too late to work with the discount at this point in time? Or is it something that we'll have to attack next year?
We'll have to attack it next year, it's gone to third reading.
Can we
I think-
repeal third reading and then, if we decide?
I'd like to ask the Director of Finance what the timeline is for this. It has to be
If third readings repealed, then the utility bills will have to wait till end of January to go through, beginning of February.
And that will be too late, or?
Depending on what the discount is, it won't give enough time for it.
I just feel like sometimes, just because everybody's raising limits, and I know that we're trying to play catch up, but sometimes we have to take a step back and reassess and make sure that we're doing the right thing for everybody. And when we're having people standing up and saying, hey, look, we're really struggling, we need to pay attention to that. You know, and we're having people that are really struggling. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I would like to see us drop the thing for this year to a certain percentage, say 4 or 5%. And then in January, we pull a meeting together and we really look at the books and we look at what we're doing for who we're doing it for and see what we can come up with for next year. That's what I would like to see.
Further discussion? Is there, Councillor MacLean?
I too have had a lot of people come forward and say they're really struggling with this big of an increase, and into the future with the compounded nature of it as well.
So I'm hearing a couple of different recommendations from this committee.
some further motion after this time.
So there is no recommendations arising from the committee of the whole?
No, it's just
Further comments? Motion please to adjourn the committee of the whole. Councillor Pearson, Councillor G, all in favor? 1934. Onward with 10.2. What is council's wish?
So I would like to move that we drop the utility rates to 5%, and reassess in January what we're going to do and how we're going to move forward.
So we need to repeal third reading, take it back to second reading. Okay. Can I ask for an amendment to your motion that includes repealing third reading?
Yep.
Seconder, Councillor Pearson. Discussion on the motion. All in favor? Back to second reading. Carries. Councillor reports. Councillor G, what did you get up to?
Oh. Well, I guess my report goes back to since the last meeting. So I was at the special meeting on November 19th. And then I was away out of town from November 22nd to the 30th. Got back, went back to work. Everything's been pretty quiet. That's all I have to report for now.
Thank you very much. Councillor Blanchette.
I have nothing to report. Yeah. I don't think it's ever happened.
Well, it is December. Looks like you've been on the nice list. Councillor MacLean?
I only had 2 council functions this past 2 weeks. On December 3rd, I attended the Valemount Entertainment Society's regularly scheduled meeting. And this morning I had a conference call with the Columbia River Treaties Local Government Committee and Indigenous Nations representatives to the treaty process to review the outcome of the local public consultation meetings held throughout the basin in October and November. That was it.
Thank you. Councillor Pearson?
All I've had on my calendar is the December 3rd Tourism Valemount meeting. That was it for me.
Awesome. Varda board meeting on the 27th of November. And then December 5th and 6th, I was in Terrace to attend a geothermal lecture hosted by both the Skeena Riding and Cangia. There's a tour, Johannesson, is a senior official within the Canadian Icelandic Embassy and a Master of Science in Engineering, mainly geothermal. It was mind-blowing of what what the last 100 years in Iceland have actually come to fruition. 1938, they almost squashed geothermal development through one vote of the Reykjavik Council. One council person said, "I don't care what the engineer said, you'll never make this fly." That city now has in-street snow melting.
In-street snow melting?
In-street snow melting. The entire downtown, sidewalks, streets, you name it. There was one offer from Cangia, and the village was able to take them up on it. Was they paid for my flight, and while I was there, had an opportunity to meet with MLA Ellis Ross, and a former member, a member of the Councillors First Nation, afforded me a long time in his office to discuss possible moving forward. The engineer and the lecturer did forward the presentation that he did convey. I'm happy to share it, but there's not a presentation is one thing, but there was a lot of context during that lecture that I'm happy to repeat if anybody's interested. Other than that, on behalf of council, I want to wish Village of Valemount and its residents a safe and wonderful holiday season. This is our last council meeting of 2019.
The decade.
That's right. And looking forward to seeing everybody in 2020. So behave. Motion please to receive the reports. Councillor Pearson, Councillor MacLean, questions or comments on the reports? All in favor of receipt? Carries. Item 14.1, notice to proceed in camera for, where did that go? 3 items, so 2 items under, 2 items under C.
Sorry.
2 items under C, 91C, and 1 item under E. So C being labor relations and other employee relations, and E being the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements. If the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interest of the municipality. Motion please, Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, all in favor? We will reconvene open meeting following.